Did you know that 265 million people from all walks of this earth experience anxiety? 265 million people. So you, my friend, are not alone. I too have experienced the most excruciating panic attacks, anxiety-ridden moments, days, and weeks. There have even been a handful of times where I have experienced chronic anxiety for months at a time. And I'm not talking about the, oh, I'm nervous, I have a test coming up anxiety. I'm talking about the can't eat, can't sleep, can't function anxiety. Do you know what I'm talking about? And those of us with chronic illness are not only prone to anxiety because of the very conditions themselves, but the anxiety symptoms can feel even more severe when you're adding it on top of all of the other symptoms, right? But don't you worry. In this video, I'm going to get into exactly what anxiety is, why it happens, and what you're waiting for, how you can kick anxiety's butt to gain the mental freedom you've been yearning for. Let's get into it. Hey guys, it is Kelly Nelson here with Kelly Nelson Health. Welcome back to my channel where I help you self-heal from chronic conditions such as, but not limited to, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic pain, mystery illness, anxiety, and more. If you know my story, you know that I have suffered with a fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome diagnosis that involved severe chronic pain, fatigue, brain fog, and anxiety for 6 years before I found the beautiful world of brain retraining and nervous system regulation, which finally ignited the healing power I already had within. Having gone through this myself, I know exactly what it takes to recover, so I now dedicate my life to helping you do the same. So what is anxiety? This is kind of like an obvious question, right? But it's kind of not. Most of us know it's a response to stress, right? A particular perceived threat. But I'm going to break it down in a way that you probably haven't heard before. And get ready because it's actually quite simple. Anxiety is the fear of an unwanted future. That's it. It is that simple. That's it. And what's incredible about that statement is that the future isn't real to us, right? We're not in the future. It hasn't happened. We don't have control over most things in the future. It's not even ours in the moment that we're experiencing anxiety. Man, when I heard this for the first time, it was a huge aha moment. Huge. It's so true. Anxiety is the fear of an unwanted future. Let me tell you a story about when I had my first panic attack and what happened after in the days, the months, even years that followed. I got my first panic attack when I was in the 9th grade. I remember I was sitting in class, I was looking down doing something. I think I was writing something. And I looked up and suddenly I got really dizzy. And in an instant, a full-blown panic attack overcame my body. I had never experienced anxiety a day in my life before this moment. I had no clue what was going on. My heart was racing. I broke out into a sweat. I quite literally felt like I was about to die from what was happening to my body. That's how severe it was. And so I got up, I frantically asked my teacher to be excused so I could go to the restroom. And I walked the halls, and slowly over a period of about 10 minutes, the symptoms started to dissipate. But here's what's interesting. I don't know why, but I didn't tell a soul. I was embarrassed, confused, and quite frankly, I didn't even know what to say. Now, of course, as an adult, I wish I would have spoken up to someone and reached out for help, but what did I know? I was 14. But in the days and weeks that followed this initial panic attack, I became paralyzed over the thought of, oh my gosh, what if this happens again? It was so prevalent in my thoughts that it created what I now know to be generalized anxiety disorder. So of course, that anxiety I was experiencing was because I was constantly thinking about what I didn't want to happen in the future. That fear of the unwanted future, right? And this constant fear, stress, and worry, as we know, creates a cascade of unwanted physical, mental, even spiritual symptoms. It activates the sympathetic branch of the nervous system, kicking us into fight or flight. And we experience things like fast heartbeats, shallow breath, sweats, muscle pain, gastrointestinal issues, bloating, negative thoughts, impending doom, even skin issues from anxiety. Yes. And those things are devastating, right? They turn our world upside down, making us feel like we are no longer in control. We no longer have freedom. Then on top of this, On top of the anxiety symptoms, we're already experiencing our chronic illness symptoms, right? So maybe you're suffering from fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, POTS, multiple chemical sensitivities. It intensifies everything. So, why is this happening? Why is anxiety even happening in the first place? Well, if you've been following me along on my YouTube channel, you already know all about this. But for those of you who are new here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about neuroplasticity. So, neuroplasticity quite literally means neuro, our brain, plasticity, plastic. So, our brains are plastic. Now, of course, they're not literally plastic, but what it means is we're able to change our brains. Now, we're all brain retrainers, right? So, we learn things like riding a bike. That's neuroplasticity. We keep firing those neural pathways over and over and over until we finally build a neural network. We now know how to ride that bike. So it works in our favor, we learn things. But unfortunately, it can also work against us. Neuroplasticity can work against us. And this can be because of things like trauma, adverse childhood experiences, accidents, physical, mental abuse, and many more things. When these events happen to us in our lives, oftentimes these neural pathways can be engraved so deeply with the trauma, the abuse, etc., everything that I just listed, that we are now prone to be more wired to have anxiety and all of these unwanted symptoms. Now, I am in the business of self-healing, right? I teach you guys, my students, how to self-heal chronic illness symptoms and anxiety. So I'm going to give you these tools to take home with you today. And feel free to write them down if you want to pause this video, grab a pen and paper. A lot of them you should already know, but there's going to be some in here that are really juicy and really is the foundation as to how you can help heal anxiety symptoms. So first things first, we should all know we should be getting at least 8+ hours of sleep a night. Hopefully between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. you are especially asleep, because that is when our bodies heal the most. Okay, so 8 hours plus of sleep a night. And then of course the foods and drinks, guys. So we need to make sure that we're eating foods and drinks in their whole form. So staying away from commercialized box cans, foods that have all of these latent chemicals and dyes, preservatives, all of those things exacerbate anxiety symptoms. They do not help us. And then, of course, when it comes to toxins, right? So we want to make sure that our house has the least amount of toxins as possible. Our beauty products, hair, face products, all of those things, even scented candles in the house, make sure that they are all natural, maybe soy candles. I know that there's a lot of great brands out there. So just making sure that we get rid of the toxicity as much as possible. But again, these are things that most of us are aware of. I want to bring in the juicy things for you, the nervous system regulation things that make all the difference in your healing. So meditation, I want to make sure that you guys are meditating for at least 20 minutes a day. Now, if you're new to meditation, I know that might sound like a lot to you, but start slow and over time work your way up. There's great apps out there like Insight Timer, Calm, Headspace, so many that have free meditations, even beginner starter meditations that you can start with. And this helps your anxiety so incredibly much. It is underrated. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about the significance and how huge it is, but it's underrated in my opinion. We need to be talking about it more because of how much it helps. So 20 minutes a day, up to you. I would actually say divide that. Do the first 10 minutes in the day and then the last 10 minutes right before you go to bed at night. And this can make the biggest difference in your day. It could really, really regulate that nervous system, activate the parasympathetic when we are in rest and digest. And then breath work. So breath work is also a huge tool to implement in order to regulate our nervous system and get us out of those anxiety-ridden states. So one thing that I love to do is box breathing. So I would say for about 5 minutes a day, find some time to just implement box breathing. Maybe put on your favorite song in the background or some really relaxing music. And the reason it's called box breathing is because you breathe in for 4, you hold for 4, you breathe out for 4, and then you hold for 4, right? So there's 4 parts to that. And then catching our negative thoughts. Guys, this is so important. If we become aware of our negative thoughts, then that means that we can stop them from getting worse, because those thoughts are the very thing that activate our sympathetic branch of the nervous system, putting us into fight or flight and releasing all of those stress hormones that we do not want, right? Because we're not in survival. We don't need to run from anything. We are safe. So I invite you to be aware of your negative thoughts. And every single time you become aware of a negative thought, I want you to stop in your tracks. If you're with people or if you're in a work meeting or whatever it is, do it in your head. And I want you to kind of gently, but a little bit harsh, so kind of right in the middle, just say stop, 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 stop. And then you're going to take a breath in and you're going to release the breath as you release that thought. So taking that moment to do those steps will take you out of that thought process and not let you spin into the fight or flight. It'll make all of the difference. And then my holy grail of all holy grail tools, this brain retraining exercise that I did every single day when I was healing from my chronic illness and anxiety symptoms. And this is a visualization meditation where you immerse yourself in a memory that you've had. It was a beautiful time in your life, right? So it has to be one that exuded so much joy for you. And you go through the memory as if you're there in real time and you ignite all of your senses, right? Because the most effective ways to brain retrain is to visualize and to ignite the senses. So boom, you do both of those together. And when you're igniting those senses, what you're doing is you're making those really deeply ingrained neural pathways come back out of where they were, right? Making them less and less deep, less and less deep. And then you're making these positive neural pathways more deep and deep and deep. And you're going from not feeling well, from unwellness to wellness. Now, if you want to see this in step-by-step form, I have a video for you. It is in the link below. It'll be called the Brain Retraining Meditation, and you can do it as soon as you want. You can do it in 1 minute from now, right after you watch this video. And guys, I want to know how it works for you. So find me on social media. I'm mostly on Instagram at Kelly Nelson Health. I want to know how it went for you. Let me know because it really, really matters to me. This is what I do because I know what it's like to be in your position and I want to stay connected. If you feel this video helped you understand anxiety a bit more and how you can implement things to kick your anxiety's butt, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Although this channel is new, I don't ever plan on putting a stop to these videos because helping others heal is truly my biggest passion in life. And the more of you that subscribe, the more people can be helped. You can also hit the bell notification so you can be notified when my next video comes out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Happy, healthy healing. Bye.